What if I told you that the richest companies in the world are not fighting for oil, gold, diamonds, or even for data? They are fighting for your attention. Not your money first, not your loyalty first, just your attention. Because the one who controls the attention will eventually be controlling your decision making, your purchases, beliefs, and slowly they'll try to control even your identity too. Today, we live in a world where a 15-second reel can change political opinions. A notification will interrupt a family dinner, and a random stranger on the internet will influence what we eat, what we wear, and what we desire for. Welcome to another episode of Catalyst Talks by OBS. Today's topic for discussion is attention, the most expensive currency. Today, we are going to go deeper into this idea. So, we'll explore how global industries from Silicon Valley to Bollywood, from Wall Streets to fast food industries, have built trillion-dollar economies on one terrifyingly finite resource, which is human attention. To help us explore more about this topic, we are honored to welcome our guest for today, Dr. Brunda S. Dr. Brunda is an academician with 10 years of teaching and industry experience in the areas of management education and is currently working as Faculty of Management at Bangalore University. She is an engineering graduate in the stream of Electronics and Communication Engineering and has done her MBA with HR and Marketing as specializations. She has qualified UGC NET in the areas of General Management and Personnel Management. Dr. Brunda has also contributed to research publications in the areas of management. Hi, ma'am. We are delighted to have you with us on Catalyst Talks. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for inviting for me with this podcast series today. I'll try my best to give away the experiences that I know with respect to the attention economy for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So before we start our discussion, I would just like to start with basics. So the term attention economy today is widely being used across business, across education. So can you please explain what exactly is attention economy?
Attention economy, it is a quiet system wherein we are going to consider attention itself as a very scarce and a valuable resource. So we know that the fundamentals of economics revolve around the concept of scarcity and optimal utilization of resources. Yeah. So that's what the companies have started focusing on. Now, it's not about any products or with respect to any resources, physical resources that's available. Now, the resource itself that the companies are considering is the human attention. So, in the year 1970 itself, this particular concept was coined, ma'am. It was by one of the Nobel winner, Herbert Simon, who gave away this concept. And he made a statement while telling that there is a wealth of information, but at the same time, which leads to a poverty of attention. So you can just understand that, especially with data analytics, we tell that 90% of the data that we have now, it's been generated over a decade. So you can just imagine in the span of 10 years, when we have 90% of the data that is being generated, then it is because of the digital era that we are focusing on. And this concept, these people have overlooked 25 years before itself, and they coined the term which is called as attention economy, which we are widely using it across now. Okay. So generally what happens is, people on an average, their sleeping time is considered to be approximately around 7 to 8 hours of sleep time. But now people have been indulged in all these kinds of scrolling, liking, commenting with respect to all the social media for almost 6 hours, 37 minutes. They're not even giving that time to their family members, right? So you can find where their attention is being channelizing to, right? And there are 5 billion people in the world who are using the internet. And imagine each person 6 hours, 30 minutes and 5 billion people around the world who is using internet. How much economy that the companies are making or generating out of the screen time or the attention that the people are giving to these kinds of segments. So that's about, in short, attention economy is.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. As you have mentioned about the scrolling. So the most dangerous thing ever invented is infinite scroll. And the inventor of it also has once admitted that he regretted creating it. So why is the regret?
Because when we talk about infinite scroll, that means there is no stop for that or end for that. And whenever we are reading a book, there is an end. When we are watching a movie, there is an end. When we have a series, we have an end. But when we go with the scrolling, the data keeps generating so much that there is no end for it. Always our mind keeps thinking that the next reel is going to be better. The next content is something that is going to be related to me, or the next thing, that the post that is going to come up, it is going to have more interest in me. So something which is unpredictable, ma'am, the people are more inclined towards that. Something which is predictable, we try to lose interest out of it. So this unpredictability is more in scrolling. In fact, it was given in the year 2006 itself by the person. Just now you mentioned the person said it was dangerous, and that person is none other than Azhar Askin, right? Majorly, when people wanted to go to next page or the next segment, they were supposed to click and they were supposed to wait. So wherein he brought out that user interface, wherein people, no need for them to wait or no need for them to click on this next page. So that is when the concept of continuity started, which again the Meta company, along with this Facebook, Instagram, and any other social media platforms, they started adopting this particular segment into the infinity scrolling. So that is where the people, when they keep spending time on a particular reel or a particular post or a particular segment, not only the attention and focus, but also what is running behind a person's brain. The brain releases dopamine not only when it is awarded, but when a person is anticipating the reward. So that is the reason which starts with one reel, it goes up to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and it becomes a kind of a nightly ritual. So that is the reason this kind of endless scrolling, it has become too dangerous or too addictive to any person for that matter.
Ma'am, why short content is changing human brains? Is our attention span actually shrinking?
The research tells yes, ma'am. The thing is, Microsoft, it has conducted a research in 2000s. They found that uh, on an average, a human attention span was around 12 seconds. But now it has come down to 8.3, 8.4 seconds, literally 4 seconds drop in the attention of the human. So that means you can see how it's been drifted, right? So we can see that the attention span has been decreased with respect to an average human being. There is a myth which tells that the goldfish itself has an attention span for about 9 seconds, wherein humans have less than that. So here, the major concern is not about the decreased attention span. There is one more thing that we have to concentrate over here is the resistance to the boredom. So people, they don't want to be bored now. If they're standing in any queue, they need to look into their phone. If they sit idle for 10 minutes, they need to look into their phone. Continuous usage of notifications, looking into it. So this is something which is a serious issue, because a lot of creativity, the deeper thinking, the relationships building, or anything that has been invented, it is because of the boredom. In fact, a human, when he has to go for a deep thinking, literally he needs to be at a stillness for around 40 minutes. But now you can see people, they can hardly be for 1 minute. So it's quite dangerous is what I feel. The kind of digital attention that we are seeking across, the VR itself becoming a product. So hence that needs to be thought on.
Yes, ma'am, rightly mentioned, like people are very quickly getting bored, but then there's also, like I've seen in the recent news that Dhurandhar movie has made audience sit continuously for 4 hours, even in this shorter attention span.
That's what, ma'am. Again, when we talk about Durandar movie here, we can see how fast the screenplay was. Right?
Yes.
So that is the reason. And there was a curiosity and probably the anxiety, the violence, all these things is going to capture the human attention more compared to, imagine that it was a kind of a meditation movie or something which is going to be good preaching movies for 4 hours. Do we still think people would have sat in theater for 4 hours?
No.
So that's where the answer lies.
Mom, have you noticed something strange online? Anger spreads faster than wisdom, and outrage gets more views than nuance. Why is it so?
It's quite related to the recent example that we
That we
just
have
gave with
taken,
respect to
yes.
Dhurandhar movie. The main thing is because human brain, evolutionary, it's been wired to sense any sort of dangers. And that is the reason when you see the content which starts with this is going to be terrifying and this is something which you don't know or there is something that you have to know, it comes with a red signal. So when that builds a curiosity, that builds anxiety, that gets a dopamine release in the human beings. So these kinds of something related to anger, outrageous, or something that has its negative content with that, it actually travels faster than the wisdoms, right?
Okay.
So that is the reason people will tend to go more into these kinds of contents because they find that it is something alarming and they want to know before something bad happens to them. So hence
Okay.
it quite spreads very faster.
Okay. Ma'am, many platforms earn money from our screen time. So has distraction become new business model?
Of course, yes, ma'am. If you just observe, let me just give you an example of Netflix, right? So they were the people who just came out with the concept of having the continuous series. Like, for example, in all other platforms, it was like you watch one video and then you have to go back and click another video way back then. But Netflix, what their ideology was, as soon as you watch one particular video towards the end, it used to take you the series, the next
To the next
series of the
episode.
video
Yes,
with
yes.
5 seconds or within
Yes,
4 seconds break, even though you don't click on the segment of going to the next video.
Yes,
So this, when you have more screen time, that means you will be watching more ads. And when you watch more ads, it is going to have some sort of an impact on you, whether directly or indirectly. You tend to know about certain products, you tend to visit certain companies' websites, you tend to make certain shoppings. So it's all being interconnected. So as I said you, already we have many people who are on digital platforms who have been using the internet now. So when you have so many people on their screen times who are getting to know more about the business models now, of course it is going to be a profitable thing for any business if you consider.
Yeah, yeah. So now let's move from business to relationships, ma'am. So today, undivided attention has become quite rare. So do you think this constant digital distractions are affecting human relations?
Okay, ma'am, what do you feel, ma'am? Because relationships, in the sense, it's quite complicated.
Yes.
So we all have relations, different sort of relationships with different people. So have you ever heard a question from your partner telling that you're not listening to me? Why don't you give me some extra time? Has it ever been happened to you, ma'am?
It daily happens with me, ma'am.
Okay. So this is what I have seen across even in many people, like even across my students too, because I am into teaching domain. When I just interact with my students, many times I have heard this conversation that those people are telling, you're not listening to me.
Yes.
Even though the person is sitting right next
to us.
yeah. But still what happens is they will be looking into some other aspect. Yes, I'm not telling that they won't be hearing or they won't be listening what the other person is telling. But here the main thing is the presence really there?
Yes.
Yes. So somewhere I feel that people are getting too distracted with the content that is being available because we are prone to a lot of content nowadays. So somewhere we are not getting used to the silence that is being the beauty in the relationships. That is what I want to tell. Because any relationship for that matter, when two or more people, when they sit silently with each other, when they pour their heart out, that is when the relationship strengthens. But nowadays, because of all these distractions that is been happening, so I feel somewhere that kind of blossom in relationships is not being possible in the recent days.
Yes, ma'am, that's very true. But somewhere, they, I mean, it's also been observed that when whoever are the two people, maybe wife and husband or children and parents or
Correct,
whoever it is,
correct.
when they are talking to each other, there is some or the other conversation which is directly or indirectly leading to a debate, an argument. So, and finally, one of the person in the group would be saying that it's always better to be with the machine, not rather than being with a man.
Correct, correct. So that is the reason you can find so much of advancements that has been happening in the robotics, ma'am.
Yes.
Someday, I'll tell you, like probably in another 2 decades or 3 decades, whatever the interaction that we are been having as human beings sitting next to
Yes,
each
yes.
other, I think it's not going to be a shock for anybody in case if
A
we are
robot.
replaced by a robot.
Yeah.
If
Yes,
robo is
yes.
coming and asking some question to me, and if I am answering that
Yes,
robo, then
yes.
it is not at all going to be a shocking thing or something which people should think about it.
Yes, yes. Why do you think we crave for online validation these days, ma'am?
Now, that's a very interesting question, ma'am. And in fact, we all know the answers, whether we consciously or subconsciously we agree to it or not. The main thing is we human beings, we are social
Animals.
Yeah, we are social animals. We always tend to fit ourselves in the society. We want to seek even the micro thing has to be validated from the group that we belong to, right? So not only now, ma'am, like you mentioned that in recent days, but you go back to the tribes, even they include those people who belong to their characteristics or their nature. So always we tend to take validation from the people who are surrounding us. It can be a smallest matter like a photograph. You can ask which pic of mine is good, or the story. When people tend to like more of your story, then you try to assume that okay, this story is good. When we don't receive that much of likes on a post, we may feel that the picture is not that good. So we always think about the validation from the other's point of view itself. We tend to validate our images or our social status or our stories. And whenever we go for any places or any trips or anywhere for that matter, rather than experiencing it, we try to validate ourselves on these kinds of social media platforms. So I feel that the online validation has become truly important and people are getting addicted to online validation, if I have to mention it in a more appropriate manner. Every now and then we tend to go across, we tend to see how many people are liking us.
So now that we have completely understood the impact of attention economy, I would like to ask the practical side of it, ma'am. So without completely disconnecting from the technology, so how can we protect our attention in everyday life?
Yes, ma'am. Digital detoxification, even I am not going to enter into that because most of them are not going to follow it, even if we tell it now. But there are certain small things that we can inculcate in our daily lives. For example, uh, let's not go eagerly kill the kind of boredom that is going to exist. Means let's give some space for silence, right?
Yes.
Let's tend to be silent for some time. Let's try to observe what is happening around us.
Yes.
At least not for a longer hours of span, even for a few seconds, few minutes. It's a kind of a daily practice that you can do. In fact, in spirituality, if you want to ask, it's all about meditating, taking your mind under control. So, if not like that, in a simple word, try to be silent within yourself for at least few seconds, few minutes, and develop the habit of it. That thing easily anyone can do. Second thing is that uh, go for a deep conversations with people instead of keeping checking yourself every time with respect to the notifications. Keep everything, all the digital aspects ahead. It can be any person for that matter. It can be your close friend, your colleague, or your partner, your children, whoever it is. Take a topic or just get the topic, whatever you have been doing across, and go deeply into that particular topic. Try to converse it. That is where new things come out. We try to understand people better.
Yes.
And third thing is, almost when it is not really important to you, keep all the notifications off, because many apps we don't use it often, so but still the notifications will be on. So better tend to keep the notifications off, prioritize the applications that you are seeing across. It should be like you are going and visiting that particular application. It should not be the other way around. Application itself is coming and engulfing over you. So hence these are the minute changes that you can take over, and you can bring a lot, you can see that lot of changes is going to happen emotionally, physically too.
Yes.
right? So start going with the nature. How nature is being there. Spend some time with the nature. Be silent. Get involved with the deeper conversations, and for certain extent, keep your technology a bit aside, at least for a few minutes in a day. Is what I want to tell you.
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree with you, and I am also practicing it. And I am telling the same to my son that just go on to the terrace, watch around what people are doing. So, what are the see the greenery, so that you will at least be away from the phone at least for 5-10 minutes. If not for longer hours, at least try to do it for 5-10 minutes.
That's really good, ma'am. It builds. In fact, it's going to build. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your insightful thoughts on this topic.
It was really good, ma'am. Especially this particular topic, I think it has to be reached to many people.
Yes.
Like, it's not something which is very new. It is something which each and every person is undergoing. And maybe that term attention economy wouldn't have been widely known for everybody, but still, I feel everybody should think over it, and they have to bring certain change within themselves and also with respect to the society. And it's really my pleasure to be here and discussing about this topic with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you once again, ma'am, for sharing your valuable perspectives on the topic. And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning into Catalyst Talks by OBS. Until next time, stay aware, stay focused, and most importantly, protect your attention. As we come to the end of today's conversation, let me leave one final thought to all of our listeners. Money lost can return, time lost cannot. But attention determines where time goes, and where attention goes, life slowly follows. If we spend years distracted, life becomes fragmented. If we spend years focused, life becomes intentional. So perhaps the question is not what are you paying attention to, but what is your attention slowly turning you into?